Oh man, so exciting. This Sunday here live with my good old buddies. Here we are again. Hey Grumh, welcome. S3, J3 live from
Hey man.
Belgium.
Yes,
Wow.
Hello,
we are in Belgium.
France. I'm in France now.
Buddies, so lucky. Here we are again. Hey Grumh, welcome. S3, J3 live from Belgium.
Yes, yeah.
So
how are you?
Where are you guys at right now?
Well, I'm in Charleroi, and Charleroi is in the south of Belgium. Are you keeping the sound on all the time, or do we have to wait until you give us the sound?
No, it's we can blab all
you can hear everything. Okay, good. So
okay.
We originally both were from Charleroi, which is in the south part of Belgium. You know, Belgium is a small country divided in two, which is in on the north it speaks Flemish, and on the south it speaks French. You just have to mute my Google Home.
They speak German.
Yeah, there's a small part that speaks German. And there's a big part of the capital that speaks Arabic too.
Yeah, indeed.
Both of you guys, congratulations on 40-year anniversary of A Grumh.
Thank you.
Yes, started this year. So
thank you.
From Charleroi, Belgium, originally.
Yeah, we have to teach you how to say Charleroi.
I know.
Yeah.
Always a problem.
Repeat it.
Charleroi.
Charleroi. Charleroi.
Yeah.
That's great. Just like we say Canada.
Yeah, I think you guys taught me that several years ago, and it must have just slipped my mind. But how did you guys originally meet? Did you know each other in school or some sort of?
It was in the train.
Yes, train.
It was in the train just after a gig. Yeah.
We're from the same city, but he's actually much older. We're from the same city, but he's actually much older than me. And he was in the same school as I was, but he was like 2 grades or 3 grades above me. So, you know, you don't speak to the guys in the grades. They bully you, but you don't know them. But he never bullied me. I actually didn't know him in school at all. And so we met in the train, going back and forth from Brussels to... from Charleroi to Brussels. That's why...
To see gigs.
These are pictures from that era. That penguin is actually from the... That penguin is from the garden of my Tante Nelly.
Yeah.
Look at that, man. You guys are like... young, we're all young here. Like I cannot believe that it's 35 years ago that we
this 86 tour. Yeah, that's right.
This is even before that, right? This is like
this is SBK, you know. This is SBK.
The Graham Revell there.
Yes, and we had a performance. We went to the gig with Mickey Mouse ears, and we were pogo dancing with the Mickey Mouse ears. And he saw that, and after the gig, he came and he made that great picture with us.
Yeah,
that's classic.
I have some pictures at home. Yeah.
Oh, that's Gros Michel from Quebec, from Montreal.
Yeah.
Actually, sadly passed away about 10 years ago.
Les Foufounes électriques.
Yeah.
So who we have here? This is Odie Sweet. This is
there's Odie Sweet on the left. She said that passed away too. And the middle is Gros Michel, who used to be the bartender at Le Foufounes Électriques in Montreal. Oh, you probably played there, right?
Yeah, of course, the classic venue.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, one of the most classic in all of Canada.
Oh my God!
Is it true? Is it true that you work together? No?
Of course not. It was just a mock-up. Okay, I have to explain that Jitra didn't see all the pictures when I sent to you. So he's going to be surprised when he sees some of us.
Yeah.
We just went there to eat some poutine, which was disgusting, by the way. I don't know how you guys eat that.
Wow.
And we asked to go behind the counter and wear the little hats. Did you notice the T-shirts I'm wearing?
Yeah, look at that shirt. How is that possible? Is that after?
Well, we got it from Wax Trucks just the week before.
Wow.
Yeah. And the horrible Putin.
Yeah, the horrible Putin. It's disgusting.
Don't eat Putin anymore.
Yeah, that was our first time in the American continent, actually. I mean, I had never flown on a plane. I had never seen J3 throwing up on the plane. I saw that twice on the way in and on the way out. That is Carlos Peron from Yellow, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I used to say Dadaistic or Nullistic all the time. He wanted to produce some of our records, but he didn't agree on the price with Kenny from Played Against Them.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, he was coming to meet us very regularly. You see, this picture is like, yeah, 2 guys dead and 1 still alive. Yeah, that's Sweden. That's
really? So,
yeah.
Mickey
Mike in the middle.
Is passed away as well?
Yeah, he disappeared completely. And in the middle, Mickey Mike passed away about 10, 12 years ago after a long illness.
Yeah, Snowy Red, Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey Mike from Snowy Red was like the the perfect example of a Belgian rocker. He lived rock and roll completely. He was 100% rock and roll, and having Mickey with us on tour was a big honor.
Take some drugs.
Yeah.
Party all the time.
That's Stockholm. Yeah. That's in Stockholm, I believe, in front of one of our most regular audience. That audience was split in 2. Anybody before 21 years old was at the back of the venue. That was a metal grid. And so they could only buy soft drinks. And then in front was the older crowd. But of course, EBM had a very young crowd. So it was really horrible to actually feel our crowd being parked behind a fence. The leader of our Swedish fan club, Thomas, which turned out to be T25 later on, we took him backstage. He could watch the gig from the backstage. Otherwise, he would have been parked with the youth over there. Yeah, strong Swedish anti-alcohol laws. That's a hippie.
Did we travel to Sweden together and play together in Sweden?
Yes. Yeah, it was the first. Yeah, we met in Brussels. Then we had a gig in Holland or something, and then we traveled from there all the way actually to Sweden with the boat and everything like that. It was my first job as a tour manager. I remember you guys being very irritated at the fact that I planned that it would take 5 hours, and in the end it was 11 hours. But we made it to the boat, and we made it to Sweden, and we made it to the gigs when everybody was screaming our name and yours. And they had tattoos on their arms with the name of the band and everything like that. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Swedish people are crazy.
They're very kind, because many are looking at the picture right now. Yes. I think that's the poster from the State Festival in Charleroi.
Exactly. It was our first show together.
Yeah, we were together on the bill, and I organized it. I was the promoter of it.
Yeah, so that was our first show in Europe.
It's amazing you still have that. It's great.
With you guys. Yeah, it's a great poster, very large size too. And so that's
incredible.
Your hometown.
You got it, Kevin. The poster.
Yeah, it's great that you have it.
It's incredible.
I've got a few surprises here today.
Exactly.
So I like how the Washington Post called you a Belgian synth duo with a flair for punctuation and a sense of humor. Is the punctuation because like A Grumh is kind of like a stylized form French word for citrus fruit, or what is that?
Yeah.
It's a long story.
You have to know that J3 was not in the band at first.
Indeed.
In that train from Charleroi to Brussels, I met lots of friends coming back from gigs, and we decided we're going to make noise with sandwiches on the window, and we're going to be called the Sandwich Window Breakers. Oh yeah, great. And so I would type a press release saying this guy and this guy and this guy are now creating a band called the Sandwich Window Breakers. And then I would make a press release about it. We would make pictures. These are, the official pictures of the Sandwich Window Breakers. So there was many bands, like 34 different bands I had. Each of them had a name, a concept, press release, pictures, and most of them never made any music except banging the windows with the sandwiches. Or I had a band called Los Casios with a friend called Alain Boll. And the thing was, we would just play Casio VL1 with no batteries in it, looking very pretentious. And it existed. And then like a year later, I would send the press a release saying, Los Casios has split up.
Yeah.
And it was lots of fun. So one of these bands,
and so on.
And G3 and me had a band called Confite Sonar. So, which is confite a little bit like confiture, which is jam in French. Confite fruit. Yeah, and we would bang crazy on the big suitcases. My mother had big suitcases that were made in sort of cardboard. It was very, very loud when you would bang on it. And we would like, in French, we say, on flyait comme des malades. We would bang on this suitcase like crazy man, and also on the radiators with metal sounds.
Suitcase and kazoo. Do you remember? With a kazoo?
Yeah, the kazoo, yeah. And so we would just scream the gozette and also, and crazy thing like that. So what A Grumh is that I made a band with P3, which is the third member of the actual mystical lineup. And that band was supposed to be minimalistic industrial music. And the first song we made was Poireau, which means leek in English, the vegetable. Yeah. And the sound of the song was him saying fenouil, that means fennel, and I would say navet, that means turnip, and we would repeat that in different tones: fenouil, navet, fenouil, navet, and it would just go on for 2 minutes. And at the end, we said chou de Bruxelles, which is Brussels sprouts. And so we recorded that on a little tape recorder in the train. And coming back from the gig. And so we said, what name are we going to give the band? And we said, well, we talked about vegetables, so let's call it A Grumh, because we didn't talk about fruit at all, but we wanted to make the opposite. And of course, we wrote it in a very silly way, but that was Monty Python influencing.
How is it that the first album is made on the phone?
Oh, that's interesting, because that was also P3, so I'll give the answer, and I'll let G3 drink. And actually, I'll toast as well to you with what I usually do during the day.
Cheers.
So the first, all these crazy bands, some of them made music. About 12 or 15 of them, which were a friend and me, and another friend and me, sometimes 3. We made first song tape called By the Phone that I released on my label, which was called Titikaka, TTKK, and that released about 25 different tapes between 81 and 85. Those were distributed through a record shop in Brussels called La Strada, and another record shop in Charleroi called L'Arcadère. And those tapes, I would just copy them on deck. You know, I had one deck with the master and 4 decks for the copies. And the first decided to call it By the Phone. That means we called a friend who was a rock critic and also a rock photographer called Étienne Tordoire. And he recorded through the phone the music that we played in front of our phone. That was the first side of the tape, the other side being just the sound that we made. So the people could listen to the performance. That was the whole concert, let's say, through the phone, and on the other side they had the music that we actually did and recorded that. But everything was played completely live with crappy synthesizers, monophonic ARP synthesizer, and a loud guitar and some crazy tuba like Petra used to do. So that was the first
Keys of the Door, I remember.
Yeah. And then on the second tape, it was called Live at the Ravenstein Gallery, which was made during the night at 3 a.m. in a big gallery in Brussels with a big echo and a fountain. Then we said we invited Art Capella. Art Capella was G3 in a solo project on the Titikaka label as well. And so that was the first time that we played together, P3, myself, and G3, who came, and we made lots of sounds with horns and little drums, and also a pre-recorded thing in that great atmosphere of that gallery that has a fantastic echo.
Yeah.
And that became quite of a cult thing, and part of it we used on several albums.
Nice. And you must have
Oh, I know
realized
I'm dying from COVID, so I can speak a little bit.
Is that when you guys started speaking about making music together at that point?
Well, we made music together then, and after that we started to, put some money in buying instruments and stuff. So actually, I got a kind of inheritance, and my grandmother on one side said, "This is for you later to start your life, blah blah blah." The next day, I had a Roland MC 808 and a TR 606 and a little four tracks recorder. So she thought I was going to invest the money that she has saved for so many years and spend everything on instruments. So that I had these new toys to play with. And so I started to make rhythmic music because we were in touch. We were very good friends with Front 242, with Arbeit Adults, with music people like that. And so I decided to do something which was close to that with more noisy stuff. So more industrial source mixed with that. And then J3
we are coming with some
took the voice.
Yeah.
And sadly, P3 was doing lots of horns and background noises. And when Played Against Sam offered us to make a record, when the studio dates were set, P3 said that he wouldn't come because he didn't fit really in the project anymore. He couldn't find his place. That's what he said. Il avait dit.
And he was in love.
Couldn't find his place.
I remember. And he decided to stay with his wife.
Yeah. So then, Grumh was just J3 and me in the studio. I was doing all the music part. We were working on the lyrics together when it's English, and him on his own when it was Spanish, because I don't speak any Spanish. And J3 had some scholar Spanish classes, and then that's how the first record was made. I was friends with the guys from Played Against Sam because I was a promoter for the record companies. I would bring their records to radios and to press, so they knew me. And so when they knew that I was releasing the tapes, they were showing some interest. And at some point they said, don't you want to make a record? So I never had to beg for it or find. I never had to look for a record company. It was just, it fell on my lap like that.
Yeah, indeed.
When you made Mix Yourself with Daniel B from Front 242, was that at that time, or was that before that?
No, that's the first record I was just mentioning. Mix Yourself is the first record we made. So before Mix Yourself, we had made tapes, industrial tapes for the Titicaca label, and then we started to make rhythmic music with the bass line and the rhythm boxes and keyboards and guitars, and we gave concerts in the famous Plan K. Are you familiar with the Plan K or Plan K theater?
Oh, right,
yeah.
That's a book about it called Plan K. That's a theater where Joy Division played.
It was the place in the 80s in Brussels.
Yeah, it was really a cult place in Brussels. It was an old sugar refinery, a sugar factory, and it turned into a concert place, very industrial, like a big giant loft of 6 floors of industrial floors. And so this book shows pictures of all the bands that have played in the Plan K. And so we're very proud that we could play there twice in the 80s. Okay, with no reflection there, you see.
Right.
That's my young me, and that's J3 over there. So we are in the same book as Echo and the Bunnymen and Joy Division also Eurythmics and all that stuff. And we're very fortunate and very proud to do that. So the concerts we did at the Plan K became legendary because we were using meat on stage and pieces of dead animals. So we had a whole, one day I had a veal liver, an entire veal liver in my pants. I wore kind of military looking pants. And I had that veal liver in my pants. I was playing the guitar for the whole concert. And then at some point, I would put my guitar behind me, and then I would open my zipper, and the whole veal came out throbbing from my zipper. And the people were disgusted when I put the guitar back on. I went on playing. The next day, the press said Grumh were slicing their genitals with razor blades on stage. So that's how you get a cult place, So this is in the Plan K. That picture now, That's me
Yeah.
doing the split with my metal bar and my mass gas at the beginning of the concert at the Planquet. That's exactly that evening where the liver was already in my pants.
What's
So
awesome.
you can put in the bleeding lobes. That's my Tante Nelly, my auntie. She was so proud that we wanted to make a picture with her in our kind of Art Deco house.
I love this picture.
What's awesome is that you guys still were using the liver when we toured with you.
Well, not the same liver, thank God.
Not the same piece. No, it was
No. We were using the livers from the dogs that you guys brought with you to show the people don't kill the dogs. But no, well, actually, at the beginning we were using gore pieces, and then we found out that if you use just a piece of steak or a cucumber or a Big Mac, people are equally disgusted. If you just chew a Big Mac and you let everything fall from your mouth, people are just horrified because it relates to what they eat every day. So it's in a way
Sometimes
it's
a camembert or beans, tomato beans with tomato.
Oh yeah, I remember. Oh yeah, the beans.
Great.
Oh my God, yeah.
Hey,
That was so gore.
What's that? Nobody ever opened a can of beer better than J. Trois with the head spill. That was like one of the
have one
best.
great anecdote. Yeah, he would
shower.
spill, beer
It's
on
a
his
classic.
head and then go left and right. So in the lights, it looked really good. Except normally he didn't want the beer to be too cold, so he would put a beer on the radiator in the dressing room so it warms up. So that when he puts the beer on his head, it's not that cold.
Gisette with the
Oh
beer.
yeah, that's right.
It's not
that's right.
me.
Yeah. But anyway, it's the same anecdote. But
He
so
drink-
one
he
cold
drink the
beer to
hot
drink
beer.
and one warm beer to put on his head. And then one day it was a little high and he switched the beers. So the warm beer was on stage. He grabbed the other beer, put it on his head. It was ice cold. So he went like, "Ugh!" And so he was all shocked. And after that, he grabbed the other beer. He forgot that since the first one was cold, the other beer was not the right one. And then he drank the beer, but it was radiator temperature warm, and that made him throw up right away.
Yeah,
It
it was
lovely.
sick.
Great press.
I
Great press.
remember.
Look, I recognize those stands back there.
Yeah, that's Lausanne, Dolce Vita in Switzerland.
Yeah, that's when we were together.
Lausanne.
And you see, you guys had some it looks like some whipped cream on this one.
Well, I have no idea what that is. I saw the picture too. I got it from Swiss fans, and I said, "What on earth was that?" Probably shaving cream, probably.
I remember you guys used to have.
No.
Yeah, you guys used to. You used to attack each other like pretty regularly as part of the show.
Yeah, there was a routine between Otis Witt and me that we would jump on each other and rumble. But that was, as genuine as wrestling is on TV.
Hey, there's the piece of meat.
Yeah, that's the liver, actually, I think.
Yeah,
After it came out of my pants, he played with it. Yeah. On this picture, it looks like Porter Scavo on Desperate Housewives. And these are beef eyes. But we went to the slaughterhouse to have it carved off the heads. That was a very, nasty experience. I didn't become a vegetarian, but it really made me think about meat eating at that time, because we went to the slaughterhouse and we saw the animals being, hanging by the feet and cut in two with the whole insides flowing on the floor, like this thick liquid on the floor, foaming. The smell was, oh my God, so powerful. And so then all the beef heads would be cut and put in a kind of barrel, wood barrel. And we want the eyes. And so they would carve the eyes with pieces of skin around from beef heads and pig heads. And they would just put them in a jar. And we would take it to the concert the next day. Then I would put them in front of my eyes. And then I threw them into the audience. After the gig, a guy comes with a handkerchief. He was dressed all in black and very shivering. And he said, and he opened his handkerchief and there was 2 beef eyes in it. And he said, "I'm going to put them on my night table forever." I cannot imagine the parents finding the beef eyes in the drawer of the night table. What is that smell?
Do you guys remember the time when I guess someone came to you and said, "Hey, we've got an idea for you guys to tour with this Canadian band called Skinny Puppy"? Do you remember your response or your feeling about it at the time?
Well, I actually don't remember who brought us the idea. Oh yeah, I remember now. I think it was Jacques Fremac, was called Chouchou.
Right.
I think he was during the touring, and he said that he was looking for a tour manager and supporting act or double bill or whatever he called it. I don't know. But you were much bigger than us. You were well known. I mean, when did Skinny Puppy actually start?
Only a couple of years before that. Only like 2 years. 1984.
All right. But you were here on a European tour on your own name. So we came to follow, and actually we considered ourselves as a support act, as we didn't think that we were well known outside of, I mean, the first album, Mix Yourself, had actually pre-sales. So that was quite huge, but for a band to have pre-sales. Oh yeah, many people in that picture are not there anymore. I see Dwayne and Fa is gone too.
Yeah.
We're so old, my friend, so old. That's a great picture.
There's Lionel Fabian. By the way, Lionel sent me these pictures this morning.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
Yeah, and so it's the first time I saw them too. And so yeah, we arrived in Brussels and staying at Lionel and Fabian's place. This is Fabian.
What is all that thing on the top of your head, Kevin?
I think it's some fuzzy fuzz.
Ah, that's weird. Yeah, prosthetics probably.
Yeah, and so we were. I mean, I remember I was only like 25 years old.
Yeah,
and I think most of us were the same age. So
yes,
and it was
that,
first trip to funny face. First trip to Europe for us. I think this was at your restaurant, Estois.
No, it was not my restaurant. That's some restaurant, and I don't really remember where. But yeah, that's places where I like to go, restaurants. But
okay,
it is.
Actually, this might be a thing in Brussels that you did with Leo and Fa, but I wasn't there. Maybe. Yeah, that might be the recording of the Chud Convention.
Yeah.
Actually, no. This Leo and Fa came over to Mushroom Studios when we were making Vivisect. They visited the studio, and this was that pictures from there, and a picture there. But pretty classic, man. But touring together, this was our setup, and then you guys
that's Ogre with the tomato sauce again. Oh, he couldn't behave at the Italian restaurant. It was really bad with the spaghetti.
That was a Swedish show. I think it was
yes,
it was
Swedish or German. Yeah.
Yes, there that we first encountered the people known as the white shirts. Do you remember the white shirts?
Yeah, they were all dressed in white and behaving sometimes a little naughty with the hands and so on. Yeah.
It was like goth before goth in Sweden. It was actually like dressed like angel people.
Yeah, many of them stayed in touch for a long time with us, and we had a fan club only in Sweden, run by T25, and he did a very good job. He had a little fanzine and everything like that. So it was lots of following in Sweden in '86 when we toured there in '87, '88, and again in '89 and '90. Yeah, lots of great fans over there.
This guy here in the lower part of the picture here, where I've got the mouse going, that's he became part of the T Circle members. This is Dave Jackson.
Oh yeah, that's Dave Jackson.
This was last time I saw him. He passed away a couple of years after this picture was taken, but he always talked about our memories that we had together with you guys. What was his T Circle number, Dave Jackson? I
think it's 28.
28, yeah?
Yeah, I think it was D28. It was lots of fun when he asked that actually. I spoke with him much less than actually Odysseus, because Odysseus was riding in the truck with Dave and Hunter, and as we called him, because there was another Dave. So Hunter was Hunter and the other one was Dave. And so it's funny because Odysseus didn't speak English and Hunter didn't speak French. but they developed a kind of a primitive language together by signs and exchanging words, and they were inseparable. I remember at the end of the tour, Odysseus wept in his arms because it was his particular friend from the tour, you know?
Yeah, I remember.
It was fun times. So to come back to the why did we tour with you? So they were looking for a support act and a tour manager. There was no money, not enough money for both. So then I agreed to say, okay, Grumh will go on the tour with just the little pocket money we would get every day and a small fee, and I would just go tour manager for pro bono. That's why I was so bad at it at the beginning. And that's how we ended up on tour with you, which was the beginning of our international career, actually, because we sold records, of course, everywhere in Europe and the States and everywhere, but we had never played outside of Belgium. And in Belgium, we would make very rare gigs. We were not the kind of Belgian band who would play in every city. Most of the Belgian bands would make like 90 or 100 gigs per year, playing in every city's little youth club or university, whatever. We never did that. We were just above that. We were just doing the plan K, very selected gigs. And then so the Belgian audience and the Belgian press were actually thinking that we were elitist. And of course we were. So we just didn't want to be considered as a local band. And so playing with you was the kind of big launch of our, European career. And it was lots of fun because when we arrived in Sweden, these guys were treating us like the Beatles. We have people running after us in the streets, and probably with you as well. I mean, I remember being chased by guys running after us. We had to escape to some kind of department store, feeling like John Lennon or whatever. It was lots of fun.
Yeah, we had so much fun with you guys. I mean, I think it was a perfect match. At first, we were, we didn't know you guys, and we got together, and luckily we got along so well, and had so much fun. Had so many little contests when we were driving and stuff. I don't know if we can go into detail, but yeah, some fun stories in driving, like the trash contest, like seeing how much. Is that a pass? Is that did you win the award?
Should I explain that?
Yeah, we did. Okay, so we could roughly say we did have a farting contest, and how you would win or lose is if, depending on which band you were in, if you opened the window, then that would lose it for your band.
Exactly. The first one who would open the window of the van lost. Yeah. And I would make huge farts, very long farts, lots of volume. But then Dwayne would just lift himself up, and he would just do a little, and we would just die. Massive.
Dwayne was the winner.
Oh my God, the foul things coming out of that blonde man's anus, albino farce. That's part of his legacy, by the way. And
for sure.
It was amazing. I mean, he had that kind of, he wouldn't do anything, and at the end he would just and that's it. Yeah, that was really something.
It was still in the days where, of course, all of us were traveling in a passenger van, and you had to. There was really nowhere to sleep or anywhere. It was what we call today a pretty challenging tour. Much
no
more
GPS, no GPS, no cell phones. I mean, we were there on the road with a book with the address and maps. We had a European map. Then every country you would get to, as we were getting close to the city, we would just stop to a gas station and buy a map of the city, so we would know where to go. Then we would ask people on the street, "Do you know this?" Whatever.
Some people
finally you arrived.
Where is it?
Yeah, and that was unloading, setting up the equipment, eating bad spaghetti or risotto or whatever they did, and then a little bit of medication before the gig, and that's it. We do it again the next day, live on the road. Then I can also talk about something else we did on the road. Remember the fights we had between the truck and the van with yogurt and jam? So we would stop at supermarket and buy stuff to throw on the other truck to block the windshield. I remember butter on the windshield, really hard to get off. I remember jam on the windshield and then we would just do that at red lights, when the red light will just come out of the vehicle and just go throw things. And the locals, of course, were like, who are these people throwing yogurt and jam to each other's windscreen? Yeah. But, we never had a ticket from the police. But at the end of the tour, explaining that to the rental company, why is there raspberry stuck in the airflow of the engine? Why did we find chicken legs around the gas tank? Crazy Swedish people.
Yeah, we don't know.
One of my most fun memories of that I really, got to say, there's nothing like this show that we did.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Yeah. Where is that one? I remember the poster, but I don't know which.
Budapest.
Oh yeah, Budapest. In that
Budapest,
big venue.
Yeah. Okay,
Budapest.
Under
when
the
you
theater.
Incredible venue.
When you had to cross the Iron Curtain.
Yeah, of course.
And I was driving that morning when we were driving into the city, and it felt like I was driving through like ancient times.
Yeah, like the Soviet Union, basically.
So different.
All these monuments.
Yeah, and then
the bridge, the famous
no
bridge.
Westernization, no like that feeling that I remember we stopped at the gas station and the drinks were just like bottles with colored liquid in it. And then if you wanted to get some food, they would give you toast that they put in the little oven and they made you and they give you toast. And then, the show, I think I remember that show most of all, just because the equipment was so sort of sensitive.
Yeah. I remember live wires, no DI boxes. And they were wires coming out of a box with no plastic on the wire, just the copper. And they would touch each other and everything would just blow up. And they will fix it by putting paper between the copper and the copper. And it was really scary to be like electrocuted on stage. But, it was, it was 86 and the Berlin Wall fell in 89. So people have to understand Budapest was still a very modern city compared to Poland or other parts of the East Bloc. But it was still Eastern Bloc. So, yeah, we had to stop at the border. There were mirrors, very high, police hat, and I could give the passport, get so many stamps and wait for an hour. And they were looking at us and we would bribe them with records or little American chewing gum.
Cigarettes.
Yeah. I remember I had a calculator. I had never seen an electronic calculator. So I would just make additions and they were just crazy about it. Then I thought I have a very small keychain calculator somewhere. So I gave it to the custom guy. And then I said, oh, maybe I should have done that. We're going to be, shot or crucified or whatever, but it went okay. I remember the price of the meals because we went to that kind of restaurant. So we couldn't understand anything because it said all these names in Hungarian, Magyar language, which is very different from anything else. You cannot relate it to Italian or Latin or Anglo-Saxon language. And so we decided we saw the prices. It was in forints. It was the local currency at that time. And that was like for 10 cents of a dollar, you could have 5 main courses. So we ordered the whole thing. I mean, we said we want everything. Like the horrible Occidentals we were.
We have taken up all the plates.
Everything, you peasants. But I mean, they looked at us really crazy. And if I have the time, I can tell an anecdote about a waitress in a bar. We went in a bar and that waitress was talking to a friend of her. And so we sit at the bar and she comes to us and we say, we try to call her and when she comes for her first drink and we look at the thing, the only thing we could say was Bacardi Coca. So Bacardi Coca we knew, so we said Bacardi Coca. So she was giving it to us. So we drank that and we wanted another one, but she was far away at the end of the bar talking to her friend. And so we try to say, Miss, no reaction. Please, no reaction. Bitte in German, no reaction. Fräulein, so nothing worked. So then we started to say in French, hey, you dirty whore, you fucking C-word, you bloody blah. And then at some point I said, Harry Skank in French. And she came right away. So then we wondered why, So we said Bacardi, Coca, too, and so she served. She goes away. 5 minutes later, we need another drink, so I asked, try politely again, please, whatever, and it doesn't work. So when I yell again, here is skank, and she comes again. So you have to know that probably in Hungarian language, here is skank sounds like please, miss.
Certainly.
It must have been the right combination.
Yeah, well, it was in French, grosse. So for the French speaking, if you go to Hungary and you say grosse, you're going to get away.
Vi putain.
Oh, yeah, vi putain, that's another thing. Yeah, there was a specialty from some band members to use Walloon insults and dirty words in any places we would go. But I did something much better. I was asking locals, friends or fans of the band, how to say really dirty words in their language. And I'm really good at repeating stuff like that. For example, once a Japanese told me how to say fuck me hard like a bitch in Japanese. And that is something that no Japanese person would ever say, not even out loud. They would just never articulate the thing. But a very drunk Japanese girl once told me that. And so I memorized it. It says, omoikiri, omanko shite. And that's something, if Japanese are watching now, they just close their browser. They just switch everything off. And they're probably dipping their phone in Java water or bleach as we speak, because that is something that no Japanese would say. It was very useful to me in airports when there was a line of Japanese people in front of me to go to the check-in. Then I would just go a little bit under and yell that, and they would just get so confused that I could weasel my way to the counter. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, good days.
Oh man, I've got quite a few memories of that show in Hungary. I know we both had to change our shows. We had to sort of like limit the things that we were going to do on our show at that. It was make it a little bit more conservative and stuff. But okay. I still used a radio on stage. I had a radio that I would just skim through, and I started playing it during the set. This piece where this guy was speaking, and it was obviously in Hungarian. And afterwards, they came backstage with that promoter, and they said, "Where did you get the recording of this speech? What was the meaning of this?" And I said, "Oh, I just turned on the radio." And they said, "Oh, you don't understand that they were talking about the fear of a revolution because it was the 30-year anniversary of the of when Budapest was taken." Yeah. So I was like, "Oh no, I didn't know anything about that." And they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then the guy took him into trouble.
So we almost got shot because of you.
Yeah. But those guards came back. It was kind of interesting that they paid us to do the show. And then they paid us in money that we weren't allowed to take it out of the country, right?
Yeah, the forints, you had to spend it all, yeah.
Yeah, and so they gave us so much money.
That was the choice.
It was like it was about the equivalent, someone said, of about a year's salary for a family. So they gave us coins and they gave us bills. And if you went out and tried to buy anything, they'd look at the bill and be like, "Oh, no, just give us one of those coins." And so whatever you bought, it was funny. I have here, I found.
Yeah, we couldn't get rid of it. It was impossible to spend that more. Yeah, we bought lots of things and little medals and uniforms and stuff from the army.
Yeah, and I bought this guy. It's funny, I still have this.
Yeah.
Just religious stuff, and there was like all sorts of gypsies hanging out on the street selling stuff. And then we went out that night and we decided we were going to go to a party. And we fit 18 people in the van, remember? All from the area. And we went to the liquor store and everybody went in and bought a bottle. And they came back, everyone had a bottle in each hand. So we realized that we bought 36 bottles of alcohol.
Yes.
We took it to this guy's place that had a sliding wall.
Mm-hmm.
And behind the wall, he had all of his videos and everything. We had a party. And then we went from there to a farm. And we walked out into the field and pulled up the door in the ground, and we walked down the stairway, and there was people in a club underneath
the secret
farm.
Parties.
Remember that?
The secret parties.
The secret party.
Mm.
And they were playing.
I don't think Vitrois came with us.
Oh, that memory is so intense. Like just the fact that there would be people like in a farm underneath the ground out in the middle of the country.
That was hence the word underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I came out and I had a bit to drink and I think I stumbled or whatever and this bell. I found this bell on the ground.
The revenge of the cows we took the ice from.
Can you believe I still have this? I couldn't believe that.
Does it still smell like the cow?
It doesn't have a smell now. It's been it's been I guess
disinfected by the years.
Yeah, disinfected. But I don't know. For me, that experience, I've been back to Budapest quite a few times, and I thought that every time I go back there, I keep on thinking about how different it is.
Yes.
It's like when you drive into Budapest now, it's like driving into LA, but
H&M, Starbucks, McDonald's. Yeah. I felt the same for Berlin, for example. We went to Berlin on our own for a gig there, and at that time was still West Berlin, so we had to cross the whole, Checkpoint Charlie and everything like that, and also go through a long highway with nothing at all, just fences. And you could see only two types of cars, black Mercedes and Audi, and then very, very colorful Trabant, that those little cars from the Eastern Bloc. That was very like apple green or turquoise blue or pink, because that was the only thing that they could have as a personified, personalized thing for their car is the color, the only thing they could find. And to have a car like that, you had to work for 15 years. Then you had the right to have a car. So yeah, and that was really cool. And when we went to Berlin before the wall came down, everything we felt, like going out and playing these gigs and then following our friend Stefan through the streets, going to clubs and so on, it felt like you had to do it today because you don't know what tomorrow is going to be. Planes might be coming, the Soviets might invade. There was still not very far away from all the Khrushchev years, the U2 plane. And funny, I say U2, I sort of say Trabant, so there's a connection there with the Achtung Baby concerts. And you had that electricity, that intensity of things have to be done now because you don't know about tomorrow. And when the wall came down, of course, it was very emotional because all my friends from Berlin called me and they were crying and very happy about it and so on. But a week later, they couldn't stand the Eastern people because they were blocking all the supermarkets and all the shops by looking at everything and not buying anything. And then, of course, the Eastern Bloc had been isolated for so long, but they hadn't seen a punk guy, they hadn't seen gays in their life. And so the whole kind of racism and ostracism from the Eastern Bloc that had been completely kept in the past started to mix really badly with the kind of, let's say, alternative ways of living in the Western Bloc. And that took almost a decade to really completely mix. It took a long time for things to mix together. But now that you go back to Berlin, it's a big city. They have a kind of habit to take out all the old stuff. So there's only a very tiny little piece of the original wall. And then they have made a museum about the wall, of course. And it's you don't have that kind of electricity of the new thing to do anymore that you would probably find maybe in more remote places now. But I mean, it's in a way sad to talk like I do, to say I regret a time where that thing was surrounded by a wall and it was so exciting, probably like people who have been in the war, or like we just talked about the Budapest underground club in the farm. That was probably great at that time, but now there's probably open clubs where people can play the music they like, and it's probably a better thing. But it's not as exciting as an underground in a farm, hidden from everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's life. That's life. Well, I'm very happy that I knew those years. And
just a simple border crossing, because you had the change in currency and the the vibrancy of having no internet, or as soon as you crossed a border, there was big changes back then.
Yeah,
it was interesting. Do you kind of miss that in Europe, or is that something that you kind of like, you don't miss?
Well, at the moment, nobody's crossing any borders because everything is closed because of that fucking COVID. But so we are back in, we can't even get out of the country right now. I mean, it's a long story, so I'm not going to say, but basically it's ridiculous. I mean, there were viruses before, and there's going to be viruses after. We can't just shut the whole world down because some people might die. Yeah, in life, that's the thing. You get born and you die, and in the middle there are things happening. That's what life is all about. And the threat of a disease, of course, is a risk, like every other risk that you take when you drive your car or you go out in the street. You could be killed by a piece of the International Space Station falling on your head, or a stupid guy with a knife, or any kind of other disease also. And the worst disease is actually not to live, because that's like temporary dying, But anyway, that's another story. But Europe unified, so you can cross borders. I mean, except now, but in normal times, you can now cross borders everywhere from any country to any country within the European Union, except the freaking Brits now who left. But anyway, see, I mean, and now Prince Philip is dead, so you see, their fault. So we can go anywhere, but when you go to a country which is outside of the Union, like with for example, Russia or Africa, you still have border controls. But of course, you were not used to it because North America is basically, you just have the border from Canada to the States, and then from the States to Mexico. They have the wall also now for certain parts. But so of course, when you live in America as a continent, you're not used very much to border control and passports and everything like that. And back when we toured, every so many 100 kilometers, you would change country, so that's passports. You would change language. You would change currency too. Indeed. We had all these plastic bags with coins and banknotes from all these colors, from all these countries, but you don't have the time to go to the bank to change. So you keep them, you never know. I came back to Belgium with like 15 different bags with all these money and currencies from everywhere. I don't know if you kept any of that as well, but
I think
it was another world.
We had some. You guys sent me some pictures from the backstage area that was kind of cool.
Yeah, there were some pictures of you preparing stuff on the table. Yeah, there. Yeah. There's Ogre still looking like a big star. Yeah, I don't know what you were doing with there on your fingers. I think you were doing a puzzle or something like that. Yeah, these are the famous shower pictures with a little piece of Edouard Caspel from Legendary Pink Dots on the right there.
Yeah, and
very
always ask me, why are you wearing gloves and a white hat?
That was cheap set, I think.
That's
and
me.
You are wearing a kind of
right here,
or a towel on your head.
I got a towel on my head and these.
Your towel head. Guantanamo.
I was a towel head. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a Mauritanian.
Yeah, and I think that was in Amsterdam, didn't we? Take that in Amsterdam?
Possibly.
And
that's
of course,
the redhead and far,
Lionel and Fabienne, the classic duo.
Yes.
We were lucky enough to see Fabienne just before she passed away.
Oh, really?
We played a festival in Belgium in I think 2005, and Lionel and Fabienne came, and I think she passed away like 2 months later. She actually didn't even know yet. So after that,
it went really fast, really fast. The disease caught her, and they were very much into paramedicinal things like green kind of medicine and all that time. So they tried many different ways to fight this disease, and then at the end she went to the hospital to fight it with the regular medicine, and it was I think a bit too late, and it went really fast.
It's too late,
yeah. I saw her in the hospital, and they were still full of hope, but you can see that she was, and there was a very sad funeral because they had a daughter, Victoria, whom I was the godfather, and they had kept her away from home while she was very sick and dying. Well, I don't think it was a good idea because she couldn't really realize what was going on. And Then it came on her much later. She was like, I think 7 or 8, something like that, when or maybe 10 something, when she passed away. And I don't think she would have, it was a good idea to keep her away. She should have, been there for the whole thing. But that was Leo's decision, of course. It was really hard on Leo because they were a fusion couple, Leo was always a very understanding and quiet person, and Fabienne was more the energetic, when they had a fight, it was usually her being mad about something and him mending the pieces together. And so it was really hard for him. But of course, you had to take care of Vicky, the daughter. And then he miraculously found a new love in the south of France in the name of Sophie, which is now his partner. They live together. And it's funny because, Leo is very tall and Sophie is like half. So they're a very lovely couple, and they do ceramics and they do lots of art, and they do the new T-shirts for us also, all the new brands of merchandising and so on that they do for their own benefits. It's great to keep in touch with people, even if you're very far away. Yes, ceramics,
nice.
Like that.
They made some to put in the Christmas tree too, with little holes in it. Yeah, it's also fun. And they made the Grumh masks for the COVID, which was fun to sell people.
It was really nice. We were able to tour together during 1986 and had a fabulous time. And then seeing you guys again in 1988 in Switzerland, in Geneva, Switzerland. We rolled up there. I shared that video with you guys lately and noticed that you were able to post it, and that's cool. I'm glad that I was able to capture all that, because when I went looking for photographs from the 1986 tour, I don't have any. And strange that I thought like I actually had photographs, and then I went through everything, everything, and I was like, wait, there's nothing.
I have an album, but I re-looked all over the house. We found all the other albums from the 87, 88 and so on tours, and I couldn't find the 86. And then I remember vividly that somebody asked me for one picture album to take home to scan or something like that. But then I wondered, who would ask me that? I mean, it was only us, so I didn't meet you, so it was obviously not you. So it could be Mickey Mike because he passed away. It could be Fab because he's done. So then it should be J3 or Leo. Both, and they don't have it. So it will come up at some point, and then I'll scan it all for you. But indeed, it was great in 86 because somebody had a video camera. That was the new thing. And so in 89, then I had a camera with me, and we shot the whole world tour, the whole European and American tour, because we did 45 dates in the States and Canada, Quebec and Toronto, so both. And so then I had videos from the entire tour, which was so great to edit later on,
Yeah, the 88 footage of you guys in Geneva, it's actually pretty killer set. And I remember it being you guys did a killer set that night. And seeing you guys on the video with seeing Dwayne and everything, it's nice to have that stuff.
Yes.
And afterwards, you look back and I can't believe how many good memories I have of 86. And then I realized, well, maybe I've just imagined that I saw pictures, because I'm trying to think like, well, what picture did you see? And I'll be like, well, maybe there's that one or that, I can't figure it out. But I think like you, I think the pictures were with Dwayne. And then so the pictures die. When that person dies, they stay in their collection or stay at their place. So,
well, I'm sure I have an album. There's lots of pictures of you on stage, a picture of Ogre with blood everywhere, pictures of us in the van, of us eating or whatever on the boat going to Sweden. Well, I think J3 puked as well. He usually pukes on transport. And it's very funny when he throws up, by the way. He makes a very interesting noise, like, it's a little bit like it's close to the pelican they made. Yeah. And I'm sure it will turn up at some point, and I'll send it to you, and then so you can have it. I'm sorry that I couldn't find it for today. I'm sorry.
So
it's a big house.
Let's talk about the U.S. tour. What was your feelings about that when you were finally able to leave the continent and come and see the crazy continent over here.
Yeah, so we were in Canada in '88. So we had done some gigs in Quebec at the Foufoune Electric and other cities in Quebec. At the time, with J3 and Gisette at the drums, and Otis was still in the band. Then he left. Yeah. But in '89 and '90, J3 had temporarily was deceased. He was dead for 10 years, and then he resuscitated again, just like Jesus at Easter. I think it's the summary of that era. Yeah, and so he wasn't there, but the USA actually like totally changed my life. It's very crazy because you arrive there with military-looking pants, as thin as you could, with just a little mustache and short hair, and then at the end of the tour, you're wearing huge shorts with giant T-shirts, full beard, and your accent just changed to something really, hey man, how you doing? Yeah, so like, and you completely stamped by the USA. I came back and then I started to make giant cocktails when I would only drink beer before, and then a little bit of wine. Then I was just making these huge cocktails. And everything had to be huge. I fell crazy in love with the States. I went 27 times back to the USA on my own for fun and sex, lots of sex, big man, you know, and then lots of 5XL T-shirts purchased. I mean, does this T-shirt speak to you, by the way? Because it's not what it looks like. It's from the Big Lebowski. In the Big Lebowski, there's the nihilist who pee on his rug and threaten him with the baseball bat to get the money from Lebowski. And they are nihilists from Germany in a fake band called Autobahn, and they have an album called Nagibel. And that's the T-shirt from the Big Lebowski merchandise. So I thought I would put that because everybody's going to think it's a cover. I thought everybody would think it's a cover, but it's a fake band.
The dude, hey dude, and the dude.
Yeah, love the dude. So well, America was fantastic. It was 45 days, organized by a guy named Jerry Gerard, who happened to be the manager of a new band called Nine Inch Nails. So he gave us Trent Reznor's first CD, and we played it in the van all the way through the tour, and then we met with them at the New York gig, and it was great because they knew our record, and we loved their first record, and that's how you make these crazy encounters. And we played we played all over the country, all the way through the West Coast and the South and the East Coast, all of Texas, everywhere. We just went everywhere except Memphis, Kentucky. Those center states we didn't go. And we played at Ron Wood's concert hall in the Village. Ron is in the Village, and we played at Prince's nightclub, the club number 1 in Minneapolis, in the other twin town.
Classic. First Avenue.
Great places like the I-Beam in San Francisco on 8th Street was you can talk. You see that in all the movies like Milk. You see the I-Beam. It was a concert hall and a dance club and so on. Played everywhere. We also played small places in Palo Alto. We were in a university club on the campus. So, but it was all over. A small club in Houston surrounded by ponds. There were ponds everywhere with frogs, and a small club, and the stage was smaller than my lounge table. But the gig was great. There were, I think, 5 encores. But in part because we couldn't leave the stage. They wouldn't let us leave. The audience would block us and push us back on stage and say, play more. So at 5 encores because we were kidnapped. Yeah, it was a very nice tour. Lots of very hardcore fans. Also with the name of the band tattooed, and they knew the red. And so every night there was a special party for us, and a guy with little files of white powder waiting for us to, hit the road and be crazy with them. But you have to get up the next day, and you have to be fresh for the next day's gig as well. So it was a whole, but it was wild times. Yeah. 2 months or all in all. Yeah.
That's awesome. I wish I got a chance to see one of your shows. I guess you didn't play Vancouver at that time.
No, we didn't go that far. We didn't go to Seattle. We went. So we studied in the East Coast. up to New Brunswick, then down Cleveland, Detroit, and then Chicago. And from Chicago, we did Detroit. And then we went down to Kansas City. And from Kansas City, we went west to Utah, Denver, Utah, then the West Coast, then down to LA, and then several gigs over there, then through the desert, back to Texas, the Southern States, Florida, and then up the East Coast, and then up to Quebec. So to Quebec City and Toronto, Hull and Montreal. So we never went to Seattle or Vancouver. That corner we didn't do.
That's a lot of driving though, man. That's like sounds like 20,000 miles.
Yeah. A huge Harveys. So we were living and sleeping in the Harvey. And there was another band, Italian band called Panko. And
Panko,
yeah, Panko. They thought we were a double bill tour, but every gig we came, Panko's name was in small and Agrum's name was in big. So we played second. I think in 3 gigs, we let them play second because the promoter agreed to. So
the promoter was Italian.
Oh, the promoter was Italian.
The promoter was Italian, I suppose.
No. Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah. But the tour manager was Sebastian Koch. He was a nice man. He was tour managing for Panko and us, and he was also their manager. But he had a very high-pitched voice. And so he was a big guy with a beard, and I would have my big voice, and he would have a very high-pitched voice. So we were talking to locals. It was a whole crazy thing. And that was one thing that was really funny. They didn't have a credit card. So how can you go to the States without a credit card? I mean, fortunately, I had 2 credit cards when I had to guarantee everything for the rental of the vans with my credit cards. But, I mean, how can you go to the States? And so also they were driving like Italians and, hitting, breaking a window here and there. And that was really crazy. But anyway, it was a fun time. There's a very nice video that you can find on YouTube. It's called Agrum and Panko. And I think it's called Demolition or something like Annihilation. Oh. It's we did, they would play Der Mussolini in their gig. And we would sometimes play Der Mussolini as an encore. Our version was way better because their version was a little... and ours was very energetic. And so we did that with them. At the last gig of the tour in Washington, D.C., they played second on that gig. And so we joined them on stage at the end. But Leo wasn't happy at all because Alex Pustu, who was the singer of Panko, that we called Pustu because he had all these pimples on his head. And so... he like undressed Fa and grabbed her everywhere on stage. He said he was part of the act, but Fa didn't agree with that. So it was a whole kind of #MeToo moment before the day.
Classic. Well, we got to talk about this because we're talking what? 30
Cult record.
This thing too, it kind of has a bit of history, a bit of history that follows it around. And there's something quite cool about this day in our history. How the studio where we were recording this, had the very first time I ever saw a computer sequencer, which was the Pro 24.
Oh yeah, Steinberg
program for Steinberg on the Atari 1040. And so after that day, I remember I was like fiddling around with it and doing some things. And I thought like, wow, this thing is amazing. And that's what made us go back. And we actually went and found that program and got the computer. And that's what we wrote, like all of our albums for the rest of our history using that program. If you can believe that. So you guys are responsible for that.
Yeah. Everybody switched to Cubase after a few years, and I stayed on the Steinberg Pro 24 for many times, still with the old Commodore 64, Commodore 128. It was enough for what we did. I didn't need to switch to something more, whatever. You just play and it records and then it plays it back, and you had the MIDI channels, and that was it. But we still had a separate unit for the sampling. I had the Akai 1000 and old Akai 612,
Yeah.
All of that went sadly to the container because it has no value at all, not even the value of the metal. Yeah, I only kept my synthesizers and my guitars from those years, but the machines like the samplers, it's no use, and it's you can't sell them. Nobody wants to buy that. I mean, you can do that with a simple computer now.
I have one that works. Espoir. I actually have an Atari 1040 ST with the Steinberg Pro 24. I can load up the old discs and put in the songs and put in the samples in the right sequencers or the right samplers and recall some of the songs. And I thought that was quite amazing because I half expected it not to work. But
in these days, my friends, they were doing things to last. None of these obsolescence, programmed obsolescence. So going back to Chud Convention, it was the last day before you took your plane, I think. And we decided to go to a studio and just improvise and do that stuff. It's the same song on both sides. On one side, you can hear the vocals, but G3 had the flu. So he was coughing all the time.
I had the flu. It's impossible to sing it. It just, It's looking great.
I remember.
I think it says on the records probably G3 vocals and coughing or something like that.
Coughing.
And
cough and voice,
Yeah.
And I think it was just you and us and your engineer. I don't think Ogre was there, and I don't think Dwayne was there.
Yeah, Ogre was there.
He was there. Okay.
Go.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He made the voice, and
then I'm on the phone. I remember I was there for
was there for a little time, and then you guys were on the phone a lot because you had to set up something for the next day for the flight or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe to bring the live monkeys back home.
Yeah, no, true. That's what it was all about. And
yeah.
In those days, I remember when you had to make a long distance phone call, you actually had to call the operator, tell them that you wanted to make a call, and then they'd call you back about 10 minutes later, and they would say, "We've got your call connected." And it was serious work to get.
Oh man, maybe because you were using one of his calling cards, like AT&T or something like that, or MCI. Yeah, because it was actually possible to dial the number, but if you were using a calling card, you had to call a certain operator and indeed give her the number, and she would call you back.
Did we have calling cards in those days, Espoir?
I guess you did, because before the cell phones, is the only way you could do it from a payphone. Otherwise, you had to have so many coins, So we probably had calling cards.
I know why. No, we would make a collect call. So we would call the international operator, and we'd say we'd make a collect call. So they call the receiving party, and they talk to them first. And they say, "Will you accept the charges?" It was like, the old school.
Yeah, I remember when I used that and I called home, they had somebody like Mooney on the phone, and he couldn't understand what "do you accept the charges" means. So when I was yelling in the back, "Deal we yes," just say yes, in French, and so he would just say yes, accept the charge, and it's funny with these operators. They don't realize other countries don't speak English all the time, especially not with a fast Texas accent.
So where are you guys today? Is A Grumh back together again yet, or has there been talk about it, or is it G3? You have a new a new band, Nega Padres 3.3. What's the story? Where are you guys at?
Well, I will explain, and then I will let G3 speak about his new project.
Okay.
Actually, after G3 left the band in '89, and so to be dead for 10 years, then I still made one record left with G7 at the time, and we couldn't work together at all. So then I started to make lots of other things. I had a firework company for 30 years. When I started to organize international conventions in 5-star hotels all over Europe for 21 years. I created a big men's magazine. I directed porn videos, 35 of them. And then I started to be a food critic, then a sommelier and a writer. I have 8 books published, including 2 best. I did lots of different things in my life. And music, I just actually closed the chapter, not completely. I told Play It Again Sam, because I wanted to release a live album, and Play It Again Sam didn't want it. So they said, "No, you go back to the studio. We're waiting for new records." I had made 21 records in 6 years. with Agrum and all the other side projects. One of them being Negapadres 3-3. Negapadres 3-3 was actually J3 and me, but with the industrial ambient style. At first, we wanted Agrum to be both style. We made the first album, Mix Yourself, was rhythmic and EBM. Then we made a second album called Rebirth. And Agrum was written in Gothic style. And we thought, okay, the people will understand. Agrum in bold letters is the rhythmic thing, and Agrum in the Gothic style is going to be industrial. But then it didn't work. The audience didn't get that. So Plague and Sam said, you can't do the ambient industrial side under the name Agrum. So we created Negapadres 3-3 with J3 and me as a side project and released albums on Circle Records, which is the same label as A Chud Convention is on. I also made my solo project as Polopraxis on that label. Right. And so when J3 suddenly was resurrected 10 years later, we met, his corpse was brought back to life, Frankenstein style, and with vodka as well. And then we met, and I think a few months later, we were in front of a computer making music. And I decided I didn't want to make any rhythm box, and so we made ambient music, industrial music. Actually, the first number we did is because of Stefan from Berlin, from Iron Flame Records. He said, I'm going to make a compilation of old bands from the 80s, and I want you guys to give me an unreleased track. And we had released everything, so we had to make a new one. So we went on the computer and brought all these noises together, and I had a crappy mic on my Mac, and J3 just yelled in the crappy mic, and it sounded great. So we put it on the thing, and we sent him the song, and he said, that's great, I'll put it on the record. And so he released that compilation called Iron Flame. I don't remember what. Maybe you remember the title, J3?
1961. Iron Flame 91.
Yeah, something like that. So it was done in, I would say, 2000, 2001, 2002, maybe, I don't know. I don't remember when we got back together. And so we made that record, and so it was fun. So then for like the first time in 12 years, I was touching instruments and doing music again, which was, of course, a sign that the whole catalyst for me making music was actually J3. The whole time we were in the band, I was making music for him to sing on. And when he was gone, I didn't find the impulse to do that. He was my catalyst. I was the creator. I needed his little, fairy powder to actually have the kick to do it and keep doing it. When he was gone, I was bored. I did all these other things that I mentioned, all different parts of my life. And so as Negapadres 3-3, we made 2 new albums. One was called Amphigourie, Extrophy of Amphigouris, and the other one, La Phobie du Cheval. That means the phobia of a horse, on the label called Hermetic Records. Yeah, that's all pictures of my new life as a wine barman. That's me on the most famous Belgian talk show, talking about my books and being fat. And great shoes, by the way. And that's me at the comedy show on stage. So I'm because of my books being so famous, I was on the news. I was also in many movies. This is one of the 12 movies I did with my head molted because I had to be decapitated by a giant tentacle. And so I did all these different things in my life. And now we were together. We made 2 albums, and that label in France, Hermetic, actually collapsed. We had a 3rd album that was ready, very noisy, about folkloric thing. And then J3 told me he was going to make a new band in Brussels. I think the first one was Brain Sector.
Yeah, indeed.
Talk about that, Brain Sector and the next.
Brain Sector is just a dark electro band, 2 albums. Can you see it?
Let's take a look.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about it.
It's 2 albums of dark electro music, but I don't care about it. I prefer my new project.
After that, what did you do? The next project?
The next project is A People 355.
3.55.
55. Yeah. It's ambient ritual industrial project with J55.
Yeah, J55 is
Yeah.
one of the latest members of the Tea Circle, whose name is
Yeah.
his name is Joke. He's a very funny person, extremely creative band music. He makes albums all the time of his own. He makes like variety, easy listening music. He also makes very dark,
he's completely crazy.
Industrial.
He's crazy, and it's
and
really
their project is actually
to make sounds with him.
And his project is actually more than a one man member, because they have two other musicians. They have a drummer and a bass player, right?
And and the contrabassist, yeah.
So now they are back on stage with that, you see. And the pictures you showed before, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's it here, huh?
Yeah.
J3, can you talk about that?
It was a gig in Brussels with Sold Out and Dive. It was freaking great. Yeah, in Brussels 2 years ago, just before the pandemic. My God. Oh.
Yeah, that's my gold record. It's behind me on the wall. Okay, yeah, the picture you saw that before.
Yeah, just after. It was a performance in Charleroi.
Yeah, so Agrum never wanted to start again. We actually made made music together as a Negabadres 3-3.
It was a performance in Charleroi.
And then by accident with the computer, we made two Agrum records. I mean, we made two records, two tracks were actually very rhythmic. And so we said, this is Agrum, but we're not going to release it. It's ridiculous to release something now. I'm old and fat. And I think, music is about young rebels shouting to the world, whatever they have to shout. And I think we can leave. I mean, I wanted to leave music for the young people. But then we had a request from an art festival in Charleroi. They asked me they asked me as an artist, as the book author, and I became that kind of famous Walloon that you invite on TV and that gives, was writing in the press. They would ask me to write about anything that I wanted every week. And so I'm that kind of famous figure, not like B-list or C-list celebrity. And so they asked me that art festival said, can't you do like a performance for us for that? Because the city center of Charleroi was completely broken with lots of holes and industrial works. And in that old cinema, there are old red stairs at the entrance of the cinema with a big painting on the top. And so we decided to do it there. And then I told J3, why don't you come with me and we can play music and you can paint my body and I can shout poems or whatever. And he said, oh yeah, we could do that. And then we said, oh, but then why don't we play instruments as well? And then before we knew it, we were planning a gig. So then we decided to say, okay, that's going to be just one time, Agrum going back together. And so we invited friends to come and play a little bit. And then we asked P3 to come and join to play his little synthesizer, like in the very, very old days, like in the Ravenstein Gallery, that very first time we went together. So we played industrial stuff, noisy stuff, and also a few of the rhythmic things for an audience that was barely informed. We just leaked on the internet here and there, Agrum and the date and the place and the link to the art festival. And I could play my guitar for the last time because I don't know where to put it with my belly. It's impossible to put. And that was a mystical place. And there were people coming there. Mina Yamada came from Sapporo, Japan. There were people coming from Switzerland. There were people coming from Germany, from France, from all over the place. And one guy was Peter, who organizes the BIM Fest, which is an EBM festival in Flanders every year. And also Dirk Evans came. And they came to us backstage. And he actually went on his knees physically to say, can you please, please, please do the same thing at BIM Fest next year? And I said, no. It was just a one time getting back together, like a ghost, appearing that people would talk about it later. Did Agrum really play? Did they really appear? Like, Paul McCartney is dead. Is he really dead? That kind of mystery thing. And I said, no, it's not a good idea. And then Jean-Marc Lederman from Weatherman and Kid Montana, who is a very good friend of mine. We stayed very good friends for many, many years. And he said, well, why don't you get off your high horse and just do the fucking gig? because it will please people. It will make, 1,000 or whatever people happy. And that's what I do in my life. I make people happy around me. I make jokes, I serve wines, I tell jokes, I write books, I organize conventions, I get people together for sex, whatever. Everything I do is always about trying to give joy and bring a smile on people's face. I don't talk a lot as a person. I never say a word. I don't talk. I don't share. I don't publish anything on Facebook. And so he said, please do the concert. And then we talked about it, and we say, okay, but not next year, in 2 years. So that it was the end of 2017. We agreed to play on BIMFest. He put us at top of the bill of the second day. So he built that throne that you see on the stage. I didn't build it. Peter from BIMFest built that throne that has a T-circle on the back with a projector that projects a T-circle through the back. And it looks a little bit like Game of Thrones, of course. And so we did that gig, and with Joke, so J55 on the guitar, because I couldn't use mine. And it was a very good memory of one last gig of A Grumh. And I think that was really the last gig of A Grumh. And then anything we would do after that would be performances like locking ourselves in a shower or a toilet and then doing for an hour or something like that. And I'm very happy that J3 has found fun again with that new band. This picture is great because you see the bass player, Jean, and they are very energetic and so on. And Joke actually told me, what we do? We start the beginning of the track, and then J3 starts his thing, and we follow him. So that's actually what they said. They said we just follow J3, and it's a great. They're having fun, and they have so many. How many albums do you have now? You're like 5, because they release an album every 2 months and then limited vinyl thing, like 200 copies of this, of that. I see things passing through, and it's I'm glad that they have lots of fun.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
I'm happy to see you guys both happy doing what you're doing, and to see J3 out there with the it's Nega Padres 3.3, this lineup, yeah?
No, Nega Padres 3.3 was J3 and me back in the day, and in the 2000. This new one is called Ha People, HAPEOPLE. So Ha People .3.55.
The title of a track of A Grumh, Ha People.
Yeah, it was the title of a track, yeah.
And you guys are playing often in Europe now, J3? Well, not right now, of course, because COVID.
Yeah.
Before that, you were playing.
I freaking don't know.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Il demandait où est-ce que tu avais joué avec A People 355. Vous avez fait des concerts.
Brussels, and Chapelle-l'Erlemont, in a little town in Wallonia.
Very confidential.
You like that, right?
Yeah.
So this picture, copy, is when we first got back together. I think at J3's house when he stopped being dead.
Yeah.
I always liked how
it was the day of my resurrection, I suppose.
It's too
how
hot.
You called an album we are A Grumh and you are not, and then you re-released another album called We Were A Grumh and You Were Not.
Yeah, well, we didn't. Yeah, We Are A Grumh and You Are Not is of course based by on the Monty Python line. That was the American compilation. That was that's me at the last gig saying hello to Naf Naf. Yeah, that's a real big head. It actually smelled like ham. And I played with it, and then J3 played with it. This is how I was dressed. That's why I know, that coat that I have is made for me, and it's a black cashmere. It's brilliant, but very fucking hot.
Oh, bon appétit.
That was a great gig.
Yeah, bon appetit. Yeah, so this is the last official A Grumh show then, this one.
Yeah. And that one in BIMFest, they were There were 15 guys from Norway. There were about 12 guys from Sweden. There were, again, people who came from the States, from UK, from France, from Switzerland,
Brazil.
from Germany, from all over Europe. There were people who were
Brazil.
there. Yeah, that's actually me on the top left and G3 on the right. That's the shot for the cover of Mix Yourself. And under is P4, P4, which was just doing percussions with us and being blonde.
Do you see the light?
Yes.
I'm loving the beard, J3. I'm loving the beard. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Suits you. What's next then, you guys?
Well,
What's
actually,
next?
there's one thing I can do.
That's a talent.
Yeah. Some people can move their ears. I can move my tits up and down. It makes a great show at my wine bar. I often do it, and then I challenge other big men to do it too, and they just can't. Sometimes women can, but yeah. So you see behind me, you see the gold record that Played Again Sam gave to us that you've put on the screen before, and the rest of the frames there is souvenirs from great restaurants. Over here you have El Bulli, who was best restaurant of the world in Spain, and then next to it is the Fat Duck from Heston Blumenthal, who was best restaurant of the world. So the world's best restaurant in England, world's best restaurant in Spain, and that's my biggest passion. I do great restaurant, and that's how I became fat and happy. Because when you become fat of eating good stuff, you are fat, but you have a great blood test. So I have no cholesterol, no diabetes above levels, acceptable levels, and a great blood pressure. So you can be fat and healthy. That's something I want to tell the world, because so many people are fat because they eat really badly, like a pizza at 2 a.m. and 2 liters of Coke. I don't do that. I drink water, wine, and coffee and tea. Yeah. Oh, this is one of my 189 pages and groups.
This is a new thing for you. It's the lovely teachings of Buddha Muffat.
Well, the lovely teaching of Buddha Muffat is one of the characters that I created. It's in English. That's why I send it to you, because many of the pages that I have are in French, but this one is in English, so people can look at it. Buddha Muffat is going to try to give enlightenment to the world by advising them to have the candle of truth and to seek to seek answers, to go from, they basically have rat kind of life, and they can improve it to mice, maybe rabbit, or one day a badger. Yeah, and so he used to make videos. I think you can see I have fans, and then he talks a very high-pitched voice like this, my friends. Oh, this is Buddha Muffat coming to you from the Holy Temple. Yeah, it's lots of fun. It's one of the characters that I have.
That's classic. Well, you've got a couple here, don't you? You got Das Marquis von Broccoli.
Oh, yeah, Das Marquis von Broccoli is one of the latest ones. He sings and he's a vegetable. Yeah. But it's sometimes English songs, sometimes French songs. I have the last count was 189, but I think the Marquis was after the count. So I might have 190 pages and groups on Facebook about all of these crazy characters. I have one called Charles Edmond Gaulle, who is a trisomic retarded guy who likes to sing ELO. And I have a project called the Talc Akrai project, which is Talc Akrai is French slang for vagina powder. And we changed the names of the songs in Talc Akrai. Sounded like it's difficult to translate. But the lovely teachings of Buddha Muffat is all in English, so I'm sure that you can enjoy that. It features a special guest, Sean Lassac and Seth Lassac from Columbus, Ohio, as the followers and the holdings of the Candle of Truth at some point. Yeah, well, you can find lots of crazy pages like that. On top, of course, of the official Agrum pages, the official Polapraxis page, the official Titicaca records. Oh, yeah, that's very important. That is the page against lavatory hot hair dryers. These horrible things who make so much noise, and they just don't dry your hands. There's a film of moisture that stays on your hand, and it's hot. And these, when you have to put your hands in it, I don't want to do it. I think they're gonna bite. I think I will be eaten up by the thing. So the old ones with the metal thing that would go up and down, it was making so much fucking noise. When I go to the lavatory, I want to freshen up. I want to have cold water. And so I want a towel, the old towels you would pull, from the top, a real cloth, or a paper towel will work. But I mean, that thing, I don't want to use it. I prefer to dry my hands under my t-shirt than use these horrible things. I also have a page against salad and sandwiches. Yeah, I have all these things. Yeah, that's the page of my wine bar. So that's
more serious.
So bottles and drunk people.
Is the wine bar still up? Is the wine bar still?
Well, at the moment, it's closed because of the COVID. So we are like a restaurant. So we've been closed since October. Basically, my life is on pause since October, and I think my life has been taken from me. I consider myself a victim of the confinement. I had the disease in October. I was sick for 3 weeks, and I killed the virus as a brave fighter that I am. And now I have all the antibodies in my blood. I didn't get the vaccine yet, but I will get it to make my immunity even higher. And so we can start having sex and food and drinks and just live again.
Are you still married to the same guy? 31 years or something like that, I was reading?
36. So I'm still married with, I'm still married with Mooney, which was C6 in the T circle, called Christian. He's downstairs watching some movie with his boyfriend, and I also have a boyfriend. So we still live together as a married couple, but we each have a side relationship with a boyfriend. So there are 4 people living in the house. And on top of that, I still have sex with people coming to visit, but only big guys. So you will never be in danger. Yeah, that's the A Grumh website.
Like the teddy bears.
Yeah, that's the A Grumh website, which is held by T25, Thomas Westberg, who is faithfully following us since all these years, and he keeps the website up with lyrics and links to this and that. That's Jerry Wicks we just saw on the picture before, and that remixes. I mean, I'm amazed that people remixing our songs through the years and coming up with video clips or new versions or remixes or whatever of the songs. I think it's amazing. As you said, it's 40 years after the band was created. It didn't ring until you said it at the beginning of the interview. I just didn't think that A Grumh was 40 this year. But indeed, it was formed in 1981, so it's 40 years. And so, it's all the links from the new merchandise made by Leo. And that's the book I just showed you with all the bands at the Planca. Yeah, that's the book, which can be still purchased from our photographer, Philippe Carly, who made the book, was also the guy who made all the covers for the A Grumh and Circle Records.
Under the name of Crazy Lobster.
Yeah, Crazy Lobster. He made all the sleeves. Also a very, very dear friend. We stayed in touch. He has very little hair now anymore, just like me. I mean, I'm very proud of that I lost all that stupid hair. That's the video we talked about with Dwayne. Yeah.
And you can see that here on the A Grumh site or on the Patreon site.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually apologize for that because you sent it to me as a private link. I published it without asking. So I know that you normally would keep it for viewers and.
Oh no, I actually sent it to you to post because the chances of if you post it, the people that see it, the chances of those people being on my Patreon probably are not very big. So I think it's better that the people get a chance to see the great old videos of the shows, especially when they're turn out so good. That video camera that we had, I'm surprised that the recording was so good. The sound was quite nice.
It was still a Video 8 system at the time. Then after that, I had an i8, and then I had the mini digital video, mini DV. But it was just Video 8, but it was a great quality. But it was a big Sony camera. It was quite expensive at the time. And we took it on tour. I was actually for the whole 89-90 tour, but that was called the Wonderful World Tour, the WWW World Tour. I had it on stage as in the beginning of the gig. I would go on stage during the intro of Ayatollah Jackson. That's one of our songs. I would have the camera on my shoulder with the viewer, and I would shoot the audience. And was a whole game with the audience doing the live long and prosper hand to the audience and filming the audience. So the audience is looking at you, but you film the audience. You kind of reverse the who's watching who situation. And so I had all these beginning of the gigs with all the faces of people on the front line. I put it in the tour video so people could actually spot themselves if they were close enough to the stage. Yeah. that's I think J'ai Trois Cats. Yeah.
We love cats around here, J3.
I love cats.
What's your cat's name? What's your cat's name? What's his name?
The name.
Yeah.
Horus.
Horace. Oh, Horace.
Horus.
Oh, that's so weird. That's the same name as one of my friend's cats.
Okay.
Yeah. What's
Minnie? Minnie.
Nice.
It's a female, Minnie, and the male is Horus.
And what you got there, Estois? Is that your cat?
That's a dead cat, and that's my husband who says hi. Can you see?
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
Here's my kitty.
Oh, that's lovely.
He's beautiful. Is it an Oriental? It looks a bit Oriental.
Yeah, he is. He's a Javanese.
Oh wow!
We have another one too, but this is.
Does he have pink cushions under the pose?
Yeah. Yeah, pink pads.
Pink
there's
pads,
a kitty.
yes.
Is that
Horus
Horace?
sleeping.
Mr. Horace.
Horus is sleeping.
Nice. Why don't you introduce your husband?
Well, this is Christian, also
Hi,
known
Christian.
as Mooney, who has been my husband since 1985.
So we
And,
met on the
his big book
1986.
is,
Number one.
oh my
Yeah,
God, your white cat fell into ashes.
Yeah. She is also Oriental, and she is super nice kitty.
We had an Oriental in the 90s. It was a chocolate brown Oriental. The actually species is called Savannah. I'll look for
nice.
a picture if I can find it. They are completely brown, chocolate brown with green eyes. They're absolutely fabulous. And I think
nice.
I could pull a picture somewhere. Yeah, these are the 3 Siamese we had. They were born in Alexandria, Egypt, or in Cairo, I don't remember. And they were a mix of 75 chocolate brown Siamese and 25 Burmese. So they didn't have the pointy nose and the cross-eyed. They had they were just very beautiful. And Oriental, sadly, I don't see a picture here. No, but anyway, yeah.
My cats keep me pretty sane. I'll say if I didn't have the cats, I don't think I'd feel as good.
This is Mooney's mother trying to hug me. But the arms weren't long enough. Yeah.
I mean, Estois, it doesn't matter like what size you are, you're always just good old Estois. There's never.
I try. Yeah. I try.
And your themes of life, if anybody ever gets a chance to hang out with you, it's like you're so positive and so you always see the best side of everything. I
try. I mean, you only live once, so you better do the best you can with it. That's why I'm so mad about the whole COVID confinement, because I mean, there were dangerous viruses before, and there were dangerous viruses. Some years, the flu was very dangerous in 1918, in 68, in 2015 recently. The flu had killed 3 times more people than the usual flu virus. And we didn't stop the society for that. So, of course, this one is more, creates more dead. But if, every day there are people dying. In Belgium, normally, on a normal year, 300 people die every day of everything: old age, car accidents, cancer, lung problems, cardiovascular problems. Every day it's 300 people. And now you have the COVID and they say, oh my God, 15 people died of COVID today. But that means that 285 died of other things. And also because of the way that they handle the COVID, some people die of depression, some people commit suicide, some people's businesses fall apart, families break apart, people divorce, and also the youth. The youth is becoming to be psychologically ill. I mean, there are depression in the youth because they can't, when you're 15, what do you do normally? you snuggle with girls or boys, and you just want to throw your seed in the face of the world, and you want to drink beer, and you want to pass out in a pool of sick. And at the moment, they just can stay home and watch reruns of Desperate Housewives. It's horrible. It must be hell. And for me, you know, I'm going to be 60. I tell people I'm going to be 70, so I get all these compliments. And so I'm actually 68 now. Let's see.
Are you really?
And I think I have maybe in my life still 10, 15, 20 years to enjoy life, when you can still get a hard on, and you can still go to the restaurant and drink bottles of wine and not being sick all the time and not being in pain. And so they took 1 year out of the years I have left.
Yeah.
And if they would just give people the choice, I mean, I don't think the problem is restaurants or people getting together as a family, 10 people. The problem is that kids at school, it's students getting in a secret place to drink beer, like 30 of them, and then spreading the virus. And you cannot blame them. It's the only thing young people do that, you know? So, but at the moment, they're just shutting us out from our life. So if you're lucky enough to live with with people you love, and to have enough movies to watch and maybe a job to do that you can do remotely, you can survive. But that's not life.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Can I ask how old you are now, J-Toi?
In France.
Your age?
Non,
France.
quel âge tu as?
Quel âge? Ah, j'ai compris, where?
How old you are?
Well,
You see, he doesn't know.
61, man. 61.
61?
61. Yeah, 61 soon.
He's much younger than me. You see, at 68,
I just turned 60 as well.
So young.
We're the 60 club, J-Toi. Don't worry about it. I'm 60 as well.
Okay. And we look great.
60, sexy.
I think we all look pretty damn good for people in our 60s. And, you know, we can still get up on stage and make some good noise. I'm pretty sure about that.
It's the passion, I suppose.
Maybe an A Chud Convention reunion.
Yeah, I got the passion.
In a cellar under a farm in a country that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's go find that place. You guys, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I look forward to where the road will head, and where when COVID comes, I want to hear all about more shows, hopefully more A Grumh and more other things to come. But will you guys keep me posted as to what's going to happen?
Of course. If anything happens musically, we'll send you 1,000 emails a week.
Okay, and I'll keep everybody posted. But for now, everybody, check out the links in the subject here, agrum.com, and also I'll post all the other links of Estoi's other escapades and J-Toi as well. You guys, so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for organizing this.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
And also thank you for staying the same. And congratulations for keeping active all these years and for still producing music and being there as a kind of, you know, flame in the air that people can still find when ships come to shore. And also thank you for asking us to do this and talk about memories.
Yeah.
C'est la guerre. C'est la guerre. Je m'appelle Pamplemousse.
Yeah.
Remember that. I love you guys.
Right,
okay. I'll see you soon.